we go, back with another episode of the Wedding Party Playlist. I'm Tony Legend, joined as always by Dave Ralston. We're up here in Ballymena. Hey, we're well fed today, Dave.
Great.
You feel
good?
Good?
What a fry.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling maybe if I'm a little bit fatter. That's why it was, because we
almost as nice as like a fry the day after the wedding.
One of the best fries. No, I do like a wee fry, but that was nice. But in this episode, we're going to be talking all things wedding party playlist, the music that helps make a good wedding, and also some of the things that we've learned through our time doing wedding parties that can help make things better. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about things that we've been asked to do that take us a little bit out of our comfort zone. I was asked recently to do a game at a wedding, which the bride didn't even really have a name. It's a bit like musical chairs, but she sent me some TikTok videos to let me see what she kind of had in mind. And I was very nervous about doing it because I prefer doing the music and mixing music and stuff, and doing the whole games and stuff wasn't really, I didn't think, what I would have been good at. But I persevered with it, and I really enjoyed it. I think I would go as far as to say that I think maybe I should use it more,
right?
Because it's like musical chairs, but this is the spin on it. So she said I had to come up with the whole thing, so it was a wee bit extra work for me. But basically, everyone sits down, and then I play music, and they have to get an item. So I would say something like a lady's earring, or a man's sock, or a child's toy, or a dummy, or a nappy, or
and
whatever it is.
And you can go as
random
mental as you need.
And it gets harder and harder through time, and
yes.
then every time there's a chair being taken away, so the last person to come back with a whatever the item is,
right,
on. So
okay.
it's a game of musical chairs that whittles down to a winner.
Right.
Per se.
So the chairs are on the dance floor.
Yeah. So they clear the dance floor, put the chairs on the dance floor. You play it. You tell them what they're getting, what they have to get. So you say, right, your next item is a man's left shoe, or something even more random than that. A shot glass, or whatever it is. And then you press play on your tune, and they're all running around scurrying trying to find something. Someone's job has to be to take the chairs away.
Yeah.
And then there's a chair less, and you just keep going, whittling it down. And it's a good way as well of blasting through loads of tunes, because you're only playing the tune for maybe 15-20 seconds. So it's quite exciting. It's quite fast. There's lots of different tunes. People are running around. Like I say, I was a bit nervous doing it at the start, but after I'd done it, I thought that went really good. Everybody was involved. Everyone was screaming and shouting and jumping up and down and getting all hyped up, and it really did lift the whole atmosphere of the room. When to do it is probably a tricky part. We kind of did it in the middle of the whole thing, so that's why I was kind of a bit, will it work just to stop the music and start playing a game?
See, I used to think that like those types of things, like so Mr. and Mrs., the shoe game or the paddle, I always used to look at that as like after the buffet. So if the buffet comes out at a time, and it's a bit of downtime, and you're trying to build things up again, but not go straight into the madness of the music, but the guests can still finish their sausage rolls, and they're entertained by just looking at the couple, so but that's
it can add to a night. And I think maybe, I don't know what weddings were like back in the day, but from what I kind of gather, wedding games was a bit more of a thing. And I know in some other cultures they have traditions that they do the wedding games still, and there's certain games that they do, and different ones asking the bride and groom questions and see if they get the right answers about each other, and there's all sorts of ones. So for the listeners and the viewers, like, I would like to know what you're taking us. If you've got any good ideas for wedding games, anything that you've had, you've seen or took part in, or if you're from a different country, let us know what your culture is for these kind of wedding games, because I wouldn't rule them out. At first I was a bit skeptical, but after doing the kind of musical chairs one, I'm kind of open to it now. I think it can be a way of just kind of bringing everyone together and getting everyone kind of involved, and paying attention to what's going on, and like we're getting everyone on the same page and doing the same thing. So I'm keen. Have you done any wedding games?
No. Well, so if couples ask me now about in terms of like sort of party games optional, the Mr. and Mrs. one is a great one to fall back on and go to. You can, the questions can be who is the boss, who spends the most money, who snores the loudest, right? So then in terms of like for party games per se, I like to let things happen organically. So if it's a dance floor perspective, and I can see two people going at it, no matter what the song is, I'll stop it and I'll be like, whoa, we've got two people here that, you know, so far have been really, you know, going after each other on this dance floor. If we're going to do it properly, we're going to have a wedding dance-off.
Yes.
You know.
What's your favourite song for a wedding dance-off?
Well, I'll start with It's Tricky, Run DMC.
Nice.
I love then going into It's Like That, and that's the way it is. Dun, dun, dun. And then
Works.
like Flow Rida Low would work, but then going from one extreme to the other, I'll go into even like, you know, Daddy Yankee, Gasolina, Liberty X, Sexy,
yes,
right?
Yes,
you know, because it's funny.
That's one I've never played.
But when you're, but, you know, and you know, you can go into like Eve, Let Me Blow Your Mind, like these types of Missy Elliott, another great one.
Yeah.
And you can like, it's something that started so small now is Guys v the Girls, or now, you know, like the couple up against each other. You can do so many different things with it. And again,
lip sync battles you've mentioned.
Well, so yeah, like before, I mean, so like when I say lip sync battles, obviously, you know, that's sort of taking a bit of inspiration from Bingo Loco, which we'll do on a grander scale on the stage as a lip sync battle to find a winner, right? A lip sync battle is basically, you know, they're belting out the song, but they don't have a microphone. But and it depends obviously on the crowd, on you know, the sort of the vibe and things like that. A lot of the time, I have no problem with kind of letting the microphone work its way around the dance floor, you know, and I'll say about, you know, it's not karaoke, but if someone's singing every single word, point them out to me.
Yeah.
And that at times can lift it in a way.
I find that massively. Like, sometimes I would actually say, does anybody want to sing a song? And if you get somebody who's willing to sing a song and they know the song and they're even half decent at it, it can be the highlight of the night, because what I kind of find is all of their friends, no matter where they are, they'll hear this on the microphone. It'll draw people in. People come out of the woodwork. People come off their chairs. People come from the back of the room. They get the phones out. They all gather round, and it's a highlight. It's a moment where people are where someone's singing, and it's like a little mini performance. And sometimes in the Rabbit, they would get up on the wee stage thing and they'd be up in front of everyone. Well, and it's a real moment. It can really work, but it's a risk.
No, well, absolutely is a risk, because, you know, like it's the risk of that person belting a tune out and then that's great, and then thinking that they're great, going a mic drop, and you're like, oh, you know, making sure that the mic's okay. But when you've got venues that are very much so kind of open to them standing on the tables and belting things out, and it does add a wee bit to the atmosphere.
It does.
A wee bit, it adds massively to the atmosphere. And the songs can be, you know, obscure. The songs could be anything from, you know, like the Eagles' Hotel California. It could be an Oasis classic. It could even be Unwritten. It could be a Proud Mary. It could be a Steelers Wheel Stuck in the Middle of You, and American Pie. You know, it's just that
Teenage Dirtbag.
You know,
that's a good one for
but these are sort of things where, you know, and again, I will always make reference to it, because I do at the weddings that I'm working at, is that I love knowing that there's guests there that are just sitting looking around thinking to themselves, this is class, like this is like a wedding that I've never been to before, you know,
something they'll remember.
It's so much fun.
It has to be memorable.
And
that's it, they can create those kind of memorable moments,
100%,
which really helps us. So
but people are getting, you know, like videos of someone belting out, like even we were talking a couple of shows about like Celine, you know, those sort of big hands in the air classic power ballads.
Yeah,
so
they can really work. A couple other little things I've been asked to do, which was a little bit left field, but they kind of worked, was the Oasis thing that was going on at the Oasis shows for cigarettes and alcohol, where they got everyone on the floor, which again helped, because everybody has to come to the floor, and then they all they put their back to me, and they all like put their arms around each other, and they all jump up and down and stuff. And again, when they asked me to do that, I'm like, I didn't really know much about it, so I wasn't sure, but on the night it worked, and ultimately, you know, if they want you to do it, you'd be doing it no matter what.
Of course,
But it did actually work, and it was pretty cool. So again, I'm keen to hear from any other suggestions or any other little things like this where you can do to bring people together and have that little kind of memorable moment.
But that's the thing, in terms of like we're talking about sort of like party games, you know, I would associate anything that's actually sort of organised whether it's, you know, organically it just happens, or you cut the music and you do it. In a way, that's sort of, it's a game. It's the DJ still in control. You know, it's mic led. So limbo is a great one for me. That you can take a tie off and you can do it. You know, someone hold a tie, and you know you can make it last as long as you want. I DJ'd a wedding last year. So the groom was from County Down, but the bride was a mixture of Chinese, American, from New York, and Australian. So it was a big mix, right? And
culture clash.
This it wasn't so much a sort of a party game, but the bride's older sister and what they've done at weddings prior to, you know, her wedding was what they called a veil dance. So there was a lot of couples in the room, a lot of girls who were engaged to get married. So the veil dance was basically, it was the bride in the middle, and it was the bride's sister who, you know, was kind of basically calling out names of girls in the room who were engaged, and those girls came over, and the bride put her veil on, you know, that the girl, and they had a sort of 20-second, 30-second dance.
What culture was this from?
Oh, so the bride of that wedding was she was Chinese American, and Canadian.
Okay.
But her husband was from County Down, you know, so it was a great mix, cool. You know, and that was a lot of fun, even sort of meeting and talking about, you know, like what they wanted, what they didn't want. But it was a case of they were just like, we just want to give people the most memorable night as possible and make them think that Irish wedding was mental. You know what I mean?
Do you find, I certainly know from my experience, there's big differences between the culture of weddings. So if you're doing a wedding and everybody's Irish, north or south, pretty much it's kind of similar. The English wedding, I find, is something that's different. It has a different energy to it, a different musical expectation, and a different kind of flow to the night. And sometimes I found out the hard way. This is actually how I found out, because obviously one of the most common songs we get asked for, I'm sure you're the same as Maniac.
Yes.
But the English do not know Maniac at all. So the first inkling I got that there was half the room or more was English is when I played Maniac, and like two people are dancing and everyone else is looking at me, really giving me the odd looks, like, what on earth is this? Like, what are you know? I immediately caught on. It's probably the only time I've figured it out, you know. Next, it never happens normally, you know, usually, but I found that there is a difference, and it's good to know if there are people from other countries in the room who have slightly different expectations for what it is, and you can actually, there is a blend of doing it, so it's okay, but it is good to know. And it's good as well for anybody watching, if you're planning a wedding, do let the DJs know if you've got lots of people coming from other countries. I've done weddings where there was lots of people from South Africa, and they wanted South African music, and I actually found loads of really nice, interesting new music that I played at the wedding, and it was, I mean, they loved it. But it was stuff you would never know, you would never
of course
play. It's African music, but it really worked. I've got songs for French guests, German guests, Australian guests. I did a Kuwaiti, USA, and Greece, and I've got one of the songs here for the Greek wedding. You maybe recognise this. This is the Zorba.
Oh, it starts really slow.
Zorba.
And so it's like bits and pieces.
Oh, Jody, you probably have bits and pieces slipped in. But no, it was pretty fun, because I was struggling to get the Greek guys on the floor with what was playing, and they had asked me to play that, and I noticed that like the Greek guys weren't really responding then when I was playing. But you put this on, different story. They all come up and they all
swinging
start doing
from the
their thing,
and
again it really made a special kind of moment.
Of course.
And it's where a case of, you know, you have to do something a little bit different, you know, to accommodate what they're into. But when you drop the tunes like that
would remind me of like a sort of, you know, almost like a Loch Lomond.
Yes.
Right. So like,
for, you know,
massive Scottish thing, and you know, like you would find, I mean, I'd say nearly every wedding, you know, there's some header in a kilt. If I'm a guest,
if you see guys in the kilt,
if I'm a guest at the wedding, a lot of the time it's going to be me and the family tartan. But I've done, you know, quite a few weddings here, and it's one or the other, you know, and they're Scottish family, and they want to finish with Loch Lomond, and so many people from home, from here, they don't know what Loch Lomond is. So they don't know, and that aspect of it being the last song of the night, and everyone in the circle, and even the lyrics, and you're sort of linking arms, and you're going in, and you're going out, and then it builds up, and it's
really good.
Now listen, the hairs in the back of my neck will stand up. The run rig, it's a real culture thing. You're just kind of like,
will we play a little bit for if anybody's not heard of Loch Lomond? This is kind of but I would say it's probably a traditional ender now for Scottish weddings. Now I'll flick through because it's quite a long song actually, but okay, so this is like there's a kind of big acapella bit towards the end, and then they all
on the bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Yes. And
it sounds good, and
but you can just imagine. You can imagine like sort of the kilts are kind of bouncing about, and they're really going for it. You do have to be careful.
But yeah, it's there is definitely different cultures, and just get back to the English very quickly. Like I find that towards the end of the night, they tend to want Lionel Richie and stuff like that, which is a bit more mellow to what the Irish, the traditional like kind of last hour of an Irish wedding would be. A bit more upbeat. That's where you'd have in Superstar and Maniac and Darude Sandstorm and all that sort of thing in my set anyway. I kind of build it up to that, but I find there's a different thing there. Like there's just a different kind of taste and a different expectation.
I think it sort of depends on like from an English perspective, which part of England, because I've done a few gigs in England, And I mean, it's been a big learning curve for me. I've done a couple of 30 plus clubs in London, and they don't know Superstar. Yeah. They don't your sort of 90s heavy hitter clublandy anthems do not go down well at all.
No.
But if you kind of go back to your 90s sort of housey stuff, Robin S. Show Me Love
that's
is
the big
huge.
one. That's
your
massive.
Hadaway,
That's massive,
rather than your cheesy 90s sort of clublandy stuff. But then as you go up to, like Liverpool and Manchester and Newcastle, and they love that sort of high energy, dancey stuff. And again, a lot of it's a learning curve. And yes, it goes into, as we spoke about before, reading the room, but it definitely helps when, you kind of get to know the couple and the guests, and you sort of develop an understanding with the couple as to, who they are,
and who
their
the guests
history,
are, and where the guests are from, and
you know what I mean. It
does
help.
Coming from, if there's people that also have flown in from a different country,
of course,
they appreciate you paying something that is for them. They know it's for them.
I love nothing more than there being, sort of like a Mexican or someone from Spain, or and getting them up and actually getting them to sing the Macarena.
Oh yeah,
and just
I'm gonna try and do and practice this, but. I speak a little bit of Spanish, so one night there was Spanish guests, so I did a little bit on the microphone in Spanish.
I'm sure that went down so
really,
well.
Really appreciate it. I don't say buenas noches, soy Tony, soy tu DJ esta noche. Tengo mucho música para todos los españoles, whatever. And you can see them like probably very good in Spanish.
How do you say Ballymena in a Spanish accent?
Ballymena. But I'll tell you, a bit diverted, but. In Ibiza at one time I was speaking to someone in Spanish, and he was an English guy, so that's what makes it even more ridiculous. He said to me, "You're from Ballymena, aren't you?" And I wondered, he says, "You're speaking Spanish in a Ballymena accent." And he was able to detect that. He must know from someone from Ballymena. But mind blown.
Fantastic.
So my pronunciation is terrible. But yeah, when there's people from other cultures, it's good it's good to give them a little bit of homage. They've probably flown in, they probably traveled longer than anybody. Probably cost them more than anybody to come there.
There's loads of songs. There's loads of songs with crossover because like what sticks in my memory is the wedding I DJ'd 2 years ago, and the bride was from Belfast. The groom was Romanian. Massive song for them, Stereo Love, Edward May.
Yeah,
like that was one of the biggest songs of the night, and all the Belfast ones were like, this is a throwback. It's a summer anthem. The Romanians were loving it. They were properly, but again, I didn't know this. I'm sort of going through my kind of, dancey, sort of charty, throwbacky bits. And I was like, why is that song such a big hit? And the groom was like, how did you know? And I was like, I didn't. but it really kind of brought it all together. You know what I mean? So it's really shows
magic.
you.
And
Like,
you're trying. That's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to bring everyone together, no matter what their age or race or culture or country that they're from. Trying to get everyone together is kind of our goal. Like, and it helps if you know. It helps if you know where these people are from, because then you can be prepared and stuff. And getting on to the music then, because this is the wedding party playlist. We're trying to curate the best wedding party playlist that we can. We've been going through all the decades in the previous episodes. We're up to the 2010s now, so anything between 2010 and 2020. So we're getting a little bit closer now to the kind of what maybe the modern era and stuff. I've got a few things in here, and obviously you guys, please do drop in some comments and let us know what you would add to this or take away from this list. And through a process of elimination, we're going to see what we'll come up with in the final mix. But some things I've got here: Katy Perry, big last Friday night, California Girls, Flow Ride Low is kind of a bit of a staple in my set. Cheerleader, OMI is quite a nice wedding song. Party rock anthem, Sexy and I Know It, LMFAO, quite a bit of a staple in my set as well, to be fair, once I get into the dance music. Nicki Minaj, Pitbull, you've got Avicii Levels, which is a really, really, really big one.
It's crazy to think as well, like some of these songs, you know, like for me, when I sort of was turning 18 and was going out, and these were songs that were massive, and I was like wanting the DJ to play them. Another one came into my head, like Chris Brown, 3 times. Like, you know, I remember here asking the DJ to play it in the Beach Club, right? And it was just out, and it was just that the way it kicked in, the den.
Music changed at that time. It became used to be hip hop and dance, and it kind of merged a lot together with the David Guetta and the Nicki Minaj and all that sort of stuff. It was the Americans being introduced, like
of course.
EDM became massive in America
100%.
at that time. And that kind of influenced all of pop music, and it's kind of crazy that the kind of Ibiza vibes and stuff then went to America and then changed. You know, music changes through the decades, and I think there was a big part of that, like the David Guetta, Rihanna collaborations with
Swedish House Mafia. There was,
Swedish
you know,
House
and
Mafia
these are songs that
sure.
are commercial. You're going to hear them on the radio. You're going to hear them in a nightclub. You're going to hear them on a wedding dance floor, and it doesn't look out of place. Of, you know, it's not like the DJ kind of going into like a sort of trancey or techno style set.
Yeah.
It's
commercial. It's got vocals,
of course,
you know, but it's beat with vocals, and so like it lends itself well to
Avicii Levels, as we spoke about. You know, that for me is a song that will forever now it'll be timeless, because it's so good, it's so gripping.
I have an Avicii story. Do you want to hear my Avicii story? So this is before he was famous. It's 2011, and I was in Ibiza, and I had a contact in America who had asked me to record interviews with different artists. One of the artists he sent me to do was Avicii, so I got in contact with Pasha, where he was playing, and they hooked me up with his management. Long story short, we'd arranged an interview. So I went to his hotel. It was the Pasha Hotel, and I was living in San Antonio, so I drove across the side of the island, got a taxi across, got to his hotel, rung his management, said I'm here. He said he's sleeping. He was playing in America last night, big flight. He's sleeping, you know, come back. So I was like, okay, and I went all the way back to San An, waited like 3-4 hours, went back to Ibiza town. I hear him back again. They said he's still sleeping. I said, go make him up, I'm not coming back. This makes me feel bad. They went and got him. They went and woke him up. Wake me up, Avicii. Yeah, I woke him up, and he came down.
And you got the interview?
Oh yes, he came down, and just me and him. There was no one else about. He was all groggy, and he was still wiping the sleep out of his eyes. The first thing I said to him was like, I'm so sorry for waking you up. I could see that as like he was wrecked, because he played Chicago or something the night before, and he's playing America the night after, and like hardcore like traveling, and he was gigging that night with David Guetta. But I done a really nice interview with him, something I'll never forget, and obviously it's sad, so sad,
of course,
how you know that he's no longer here. But when I hear Levels or hear any of those Avicii songs, I always think about that, and it's kind of nice that his music will live on forever, because it is a staple of the set. You know, when the crowd is rocking and you drop Levels, it just goes up. It always goes up a gear. So like that's something like I always
it is another one of those songs that's
you
know, even like the Etta James sample, it's one of those songs where, you know, you talk about bringing back memories for people. Like Levels must be now 15-16 years old, easy.
2011 I think,
right? So you know, 15 years ago, like, you had people that were, you know, going out with their mates at 20, 25, 30, 35. So they're now like, remember when that song was out? Where was I when that song was out?
Brings back the memories. So and it's crazy the time that, it still sounds like a new song and it doesn't sound old at all,
That brings back memories for me DJing at pre-formals and DJing and, and using that, having that as a song to use and loving it, looking around, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's one of the great kind of dance music songs. It's kind of timeless. It's one of those ones that it doesn't sound old. It's 15 years old now and it sounds as fresh now, literally, as it did the day it was made. So yeah, definitely Avicii Levels will be in my 2010s kind of playlist. But yeah, if any of you guys have any better suggestions, we're all ears. That's I think all the time we have on this one. Dave, thank you so much for
absolute
joining
pleasure
me
as always
on the Wedding Party playlist. Thanks to our sponsors, Starling Entertainments. If you want to go online, starlingentertainments.com, you can get all the information there on how to book all your entertainment for your wedding. Give them a shout. If you want to book me or Dave or me and Dave, you can do it at starlingentertainments.com. I'll be back in the next episode with episode 7. I'll see you there.